Hello, everybody. I really hope I'm on in the right place because I don't know what Facebook does when they want to do live videos, but they do not seem to want to work with me on my Facebook, on my business pages. So here's hoping that that I'm going to show up on that screen that you're looking for. I'm going to, since it does look like I'm live, you should see me in exactly the same place. And how crazy is that? And I do apologize. How bizarre. Like there was just nothing to even tell me that I needed to start. So anyway, there I am. So here's hoping that it all goes according to plan. So no, how weird is that? Okay. So anyway, so I am live and I really hope that you're all there. I really wanted to be able to see your questions. I've got like a laptop set up. You'd never know that I was actually ready to go an hour ago, had this all organized, set everything up to do this without any hiccups, because I've had hiccups with this before trying to do it off my business page. So here we go. All right. So anyway, so apologize for the delay. Apologize for wherever this is playing and however it is starting. I am here now. All right. So let's get going. That was the other thing, you know, when you want to use technology and you want to make it work really well for you, and meanwhile you're and you're all calm and cool and collected, and then suddenly you're sweating like crazy because it's not working the way it's supposed to. So that's just really not the way we like things to happen. So here's hoping that that it all comes up pretty quick and you can see. All right. Okay, good. Let me just go back 1 second. There we are. And so if anybody's on yet, please go right ahead and introduce yourself and say hi so I know you're here. And I know there were a few people waiting, and I'm really sorry and I do apologize for that. I guess that's the joys of going live, like doing things kind of sort of on the fly. You know, you don't know that it's not working until you're trying to do it. Is really what ends up happening. All right, so let's just chat. So I'm going to talk about the staging industry and how to get into the business of staging, and everything I know about it, which is a lot, I have to say. So I'm just going to I've got a document here. I just want to like make sure so I don't forget anything while we're talking, and so that you can see. Let me see. All right. Okay. So let me just check one more time just to make sure that I can see anything happening. And it doesn't look like anything is. It's driving me crazy. All right. I'm just going to keep on talking because we can't keep delaying for this craziness. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. All right. Okay. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just, because this is not working properly and I have no idea where it's going, I'm going to print this out so I can see it, so I can actually look at the screen properly, since it's not doing what I want. All right. Okie dokie. So I want to introduce myself and I want to welcome you more than anything. So my name is Katherine Lewis-Brown, and I want to welcome you to hopefully this live stream that is all about how to start a staging business, how to get into the industry, and how to really love it, how to keep doing all the things that you need to do. Hi, Lucy. All the things that that you have been dying to do, that you dream of doing, that get you really excited, that you can actually apply in your staging business. So that's pretty cool. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to just see if my little printed sheets are here. Hang on. And then there we go. And I can make sure that I cover everything I want to. So if you guys can just say hi in the chat, that would be great. Then I know who's on. And if you have any burning questions, I hope that I'm probably going to answer them for you. There tend to be like a good, 3 or 4 questions that everybody always wants to ask about getting into the staging industry and what's involved in it. So if you can post your questions, and I can make sure for sure that I answer them, and as well as that sort of like those generic questions as well. So I am assuming that you're pretty ready to get into the staging industry, or you're seriously thinking about it. You've been doing your hello, Juliana. You're doing your research, and you're excited and keen to get into the industry, as I think you should be, because it's a pretty cool industry. And there's a couple of ladies on here right now who are part of the staging industry, and which is pretty cool. Juliana's in Florida, and Lucy is just north of Toronto. So we already have like some people from all over, which says that, you know, staging works no matter where you are. And it's a pretty good industry to get into, with lots of wonderful people that are in it, lots of great opportunity. It's a young industry, and as I said, lots that we can I guess the thing is that there's this big, massive future for staging, really. I mean, everybody needs to sell a house, and at some point or other, and everybody wants to buy a house. And all the people that are selling their house, they want to make the most money on the sale of their house, which means that they need a stager. They need someone who's going to come in and be able to help them get the most amount of money on the sale of their house, which is a stager. And typically what a stager does in the role of a stager is actually marketing a property, which is pretty cool. Hi, Natasha. So it's pretty cool to know that you have people that are coming on board, or that are coming into the industry, that actually get to do what you love, which is sort of based and built on decorating skills, but that you're actually helping others by helping them to get their house ready to sell, for them to make the most amount of money on this biggest transaction that they're going to have in their, probably in their lives, or one of several, because we do move several times over a lifetime, but this is to help them do that. So, which is pretty exciting. And that's what staging is really all about. It's getting your house ready to sell and using the principles of decorating to do it. So I'm just going to introduce myself. So and I'm really sorry, like, I'm so annoyed at the live stream not working. I don't know, they keep changing how they do it, and so you only know that you're not doing it right until when you get into it, and which unfortunately delays the start, and is rather frustrating. So I do apologize again, but it's making me all like in a fluster, which is not really how I like to start off doing this, for sure. So my name is Katherine Brown. I am a stager. I started staging and had my certification in 2010, and so I've been at it a few years now. Hi, Susie. I've been at it a few years now, and really love the industry. I love the people. I started training stagers across Canada and online as well from 2013 to, I guess, about a year and a half ago, and then I started my own business, and I train now as well, and it's pretty much all online. I have like the successful stager training programs that certify you to be qualified to be a stager. You don't have to be qualified to be a stager, but as I'm going to talk about, it's really invaluable to you in your future and your success of your business to actually be trained. So that's what, so being trained is very important to me, and you're going to get the gist of that as we go through the next little bit, because I'm going to share with you some of the reasons why it's really important, and I'm also going to talk to you about some of the other things that also that happen in the industry as well. So very cool that you're all here, and that you're keen to hear about staging. You're keen to hear about training, and that you're ready to make a big change in your life, and that's like a really big deal. I have to tell you that you're not the only one. You're not alone. There are many stagers, and probably I would think all the stagers that I can see on the list here that are coming in, all of them didn't start when they were 20, and they all made some kind of a career change or some kind of adjustment in their life to make that shift and to decide to get into the industry. I guarantee you they probably have the same reasons for doing it that you did, that they wanted something more creative in their lives. They were looking for something different. They wanted to love what they do, and they wanted to go to work every day and really be in control of that. And they wanted to have like a life of their dreams, and being able to be your own business owner, and to have your own business and to be able to run it the way you want to, and to earn your money and it be all yours. Like that's really one of the best ways and easiest ways, well, it's maybe not easy, but it's the most, what would I say, most fulfilling way to get to be able to do that, you know, to be able to pick your kids up when you want to be able to go on vacations when you want to, all those sorts of things that go along with being self-employed. That's the sort of thing that that happens. So very exciting, and to be able to start something brand new. So if any of you are on here and you're wondering, you know, whether or not you're new and you're the only one that's going through this, you are so not. There are many of us, and we all identify with not only shifting into a new industry and making that change, making that big leap, but also what it means to go into the staging industry as well. So, because there's some very cool things about the staging industry, for sure, as you're thinking about growing and shifting and changing your future and being really more in control of your future. I always think about the fact that, you know, when you're an employed person, you're told, here is your salary, here is what you make, and it's really, like, we get excited because we get a raise, but I think, oh, like, how sad is that we have to be excited because we got a raise? How about we got excited because we have our own business and we can charge what we want to, and we can make money that actually represents the value that we bring and the things that we love to do. Like, that's way more fulfilling than being told, well, you got a 20 cents an hour raise, and being excited about that. And I was one of those. I didn't start my staging business until, well, I'm going to be 53, so is that 45? Yeah, so I was 45 when I started my business, coming off of maternity leave, my second maternity leave. The company I was working for was downsizing, or not downsizing, but shifting locations. So like many, hi Joanne, like many people, like many stagers who get into the industry, and I've taught many who have gone through exactly the same thing, either sort of a downsizing or a shift, or their kids are leaving home. So it's not unusual at all to find yourself in that position as a stager, and especially because the staging industry is relatively, well, quite new actually, quite new, lots of things going on, and it keeps developing, it keeps growing, keeps morphing. I'm sure the ladies that are on here today would say the same thing, that the ones that are stagers, that you know, the industry has changed greatly since they started. You know, when I started as a stager, we watched Sell This House, and it was a lot of DIY stuff, and we would just use what homeowners had, and we did bring in furniture sometimes, but it was, you know, not always what we did. And, you know, relatively quickly through my growth of my business, we started to really take on a lot more vacant jobs, to take on jobs where people are now expecting you to bring in rental furniture and to be able to provide something. So it makes it really quite different, and really very exciting. And you know what's really wonderful about it is, if you love decorating and you get really, oh, I'm shaking my desk. If you get really excited about furniture and decor and color and texture and all those things, which I'm sure you do, then being able to choose the furniture that you want to bring into a property and like completely really decorate a house, like, it's pretty cool. And it doesn't you don't have to pay for it to go in your house. You're going to actually make money off that. So it's a really great way to spend your days, honestly. And I'm sure the ladies that are on here would say exactly the same thing, that it's a wonderful career to have, a great business to be in, lots of opportunity, and it is quite physical work, because we're moving furniture, but I'm sure you're used to that, because if you are like most stagers, you spent many a day moving things around in your own home. Even as kids, I always remember when there would be someone in one of my classes who would always say, as if they were the only one, that we used to move furniture all around their bedrooms, and their desks would be in different places by the end of the day, and now their husbands come home and or their partners, and the living room looks completely different, and we painted the living room today and whatever. So it definitely does happen, for sure. All right, so now there's a reason why I'm here today. And the thing is that yesterday it occurred to me, actually it was my husband that reminded me, and he's on here too. Okay, Joanne, did you start building up inventory? It's a good idea to have a storage facility to get started. Well, you know what? I'm going to answer that question, and because definitely that's one of the things that that you'll want to know, that stagers want to know as they're starting their career, and how to plan for that, and because that's going to be a big deal. So for sure, now let me think now. I think you can definitely see, I think it's a bit of a myth, because I have seen recently other training programs talking about how you can start with nothing and that you don't have to have inventory. And I would say that's not a good idea at this point in the life of the industry, because the industry has now gotten to a point where there's an expectation from the consumer, because they've been watching HGTV and all the DIY shows about staging, and that they're expecting often now, or certainly more often than they used to, that you have inventory, that you're going to bring something in. Now that does not mean that you have to own the inventory, Joanne. It just means that you have to have access to inventory. So it could be that you use a rental house, which most of the bigger centers have. Even the smaller centers have them as well. The smaller cities have them. So you can definitely rent furniture through them. Oftentimes you can have a relationship with a furniture store. There's lots of different ways to do it to get yourself started. But I think more importantly than having it immediately, it's that you want to be prepared to have it, that you want to have some money put away, or a plan as to how you're going to grow your inventory, and what kind of things that you're going to need in order to do that. So I think for sure, yeah, Rent-A-Center is one. I mean, they're not the best furniture, but I have heard of some of the locations are doing better and better at their product, and taking into consideration that stagers are looking for furniture from them. So, and it's a kind of a lost market. Hi, Leila. A lost opportunity for them if they don't have some of that inventory. Like, I live in Toronto, and in Toronto, there's got to be probably 5 significantly large rental furniture places that are specifically for staging. They're not for rentals for people for living. They're actually for staging. So, so it's definitely, you know, something that's in demand. So for sure, you want to be absolutely thinking about it, and you want to know that you're going to make an investment in that, and you can do it as you grow for sure, but you really want to be prepared for it, because you don't want your first job to be, and this happens most definitely, you don't want your first job to be, oh, can you come do a vacant property for me, and suddenly you're at a loss as to what to do. So for sure you want to be prepared, and Rent-A-Center is a great place to start. A lot of us, you know, we all can tell you that we've had bits of furniture that have left our house for, you know, a couple of weeks or a month at a time, and gone into the property as well. So there's lots of different ways to do it for sure. So the thing about like today or yesterday when I realized this is that there's actually only 12 weeks left of the year. So that means that January 2018 is only 12 weeks away. And the thing about it being 12 weeks away is it's also exactly the amount of time that it would take you, actually last time, to train and be a successful stager, get your certification, and be able to start your business, even if you haven't already started it. A lot of stagers who go through the training program are starting their business. Actually, they're starting to do consultations by week 3, which is when you learn how to do one. They can stage a house by week 4 or week 5, and if you fast track, you can do it even faster than that. So, but by week 12, you will, and by going into January, you actually will have everything you need to be able to run a successful staging business. Like you'll know all about pricing, you'll know all about marketing yourself, how to meet realtors, how to invest in inventory, what kind of inventory, where you'd find it, storage, all those sorts of things. So that's all part of the training. And so so that's really significant. So when I realized that there was only 12 weeks, and I thought, well, wow, wouldn't, you know, if you wanted to be a stager and you were thinking about starting a business, wouldn't now be the perfect time so that you are actually ready to go come January? And so that's why I thought, oh, you know, I'm going to get on and just do this, because I think that if I can share that, and I've also got like actually, I don't even know if you'll see it because I started so late. There's I have an offer for $500 off this week on the program, so to even get you, so to make sure that you're ready for January as well. So we'll talk more about that as we go, but that was really like I thought, I have to get up and talk about this because I would love to see everybody sort of going and ready to make that move for a new year come January, because that would be pretty amazing. So what else did you say, Joanne? Guess it depends on where you live. So you're in a rural farming area, which Gettysburg, that must be beautiful, I have to say. I would love to move out of the city again. I don't know if I could live I grew up on a farm, but for sure. That would be great. One of the things I actually have on my little notes here is what if I live in a small community or somewhere where there isn't staging already? So I would say to you, being in an area where there isn't staging, that's a massive opportunity, because this is not going away. You know, staging is a recession-proof industry because people always want to make money on the sale of their house. Nobody says, oh, I don't really care. I'll take less for my house. I don't really care. Nobody does that. And agents don't do it because, well, good agents don't do it because they also want to make good money on their sale. They also want their sale to be very successful. So we're not going anywhere. Good agents are far too busy to stage properties themselves, and they don't have our expertise. And so when you get those agents who love to work with you and who truly believe in what you do, they're stuck to you like glue. And the thing about, like, to sort of summarize, if you were in an area where there weren't necessarily a ton of agents, the thing is, you only need 6 to 10 really good agents to keep you busy all year long. And so when you think about that, that makes a huge difference, because you know that there's going to be 6 to 10 agents where you are, and then you have this huge opportunity because you're the only stager and you're the one that can market and really help all those sellers. And they don't necessarily have to be in your rural farming community. They can be like in town. They can be, you know, spread out a bit. But I mean, I think every job I ever go on is a minimum of 45-minute drive from where I am, and I'm in Toronto. And so it's that's 45 minutes mostly because there's a lot of traffic, but it's still 45-minute drive for me to wherever I would go. So absolutely, it's an opportunity if you're somewhere that's small. Don't worry that it's a farming community. We stage in those too, and those homes also need to look good to sell as well. And sometimes they're the more interesting ones too because they sit on the market for longer. But people still want to get them sold. So having a stager come in and do the work is really great. Okay, so that was one thing. What else? So the burning questions I often get, and this is why I'm going to talk about those. That was one of them, and the inventory was one too. But I wanted to kind of debunk a couple of myths that I keep reading, and one of them I was just mentioning about the fact that you should be really making an investment in your business as you start, and about inventory. So to start with, the first myth I want to debunk is that it is really important for you to be trained. It is really important for you to have professional training. And there's a few very important reasons for that. And I can see several stagers and they would all tell you the same thing, that it is really important because there's a lot of information to know. You want to love what you do, but you also are going to run a business and you have to be able to run that business well. And there's lots of moving parts. Now, once you get it down pat, it's really good. But if you didn't know anything about those moving parts and the best practices that go with it, in fact, I was looking at something today, because actually just before I got on here, because pricing is a big deal when you're staging. And inconsistency in pricing makes it really difficult for stagers, because if you charge too little, or the stagers who charge too little, who don't know about how to price well, are not going to survive the market. And they also make it really difficult for the stagers who do know how to price properly and will be successful to get business. So there's a kind of a double-edged sword there a little bit. So one of the most important things is that you take your training so that you can price really well, so that you make all the money that you should, that you leave nothing on the table, that you are you know exactly what goes into a contract. So because you are taking furniture and or people into someone else's property, so you have to have a really good contract. We teach you all about that in professional training programs, about what else, about your pricing, but the pricing is a big deal, and it just came up in a previous Facebook post about an hour ago, again, about like the importance of pricing. So those are some of the things that actually come out when you have professional training. You learn all the skills to be a great stager, you get all the best practices, but you also get everything you need to run a really successful business. And it's kind of like one of those things of, you don't know what you don't know. Hi, Deepa. You don't know what you don't know. So it's, I would say, you don't want to find yourself in that position of, I don't know what I don't know. You need to know what you need to know. And I'm sure that every stager will tell you that it is a big deal. The other reason it's really important for you to be trained is like really, really for you, but it's also for your clients too, because there is a big difference between decorating and staging, and if you only learned the parts about the decorating, you're only halfway there. And if you charged a lot for you're asked your clients to spend thousands of dollars on staging, which we often do when we're bringing in inventory, then we're also asking them to put a lot of trust in us, and they assume that we know what we're doing. And if you don't know what you're doing and you haven't had the training, or you haven't had enough training and exposure, then you potentially are shortchanging your client, which is really what we don't want to see happen either. So, but for the most part, it's really for you. Like, it's for you because we know that you'll run a successful business. Now, I don't know if you, any of you guys are in, and I should have checked beforehand, but are in either of the Facebook groups that I have. One is called How to Start a Staging Business, and the other one is just for stagers. And both of those groups, I have questions come up all the time about pricing. It's a constant question about, how do I price for this? And I can tell, honestly, by the questions whether or not somebody has had professional training and learned how to price well. And so I don't want that for you, guys. I want you to start off on the right foot. You don't deserve to be struggling that first little while, wondering if you're pricing well, wondering why you didn't, what your competition was doing, which is like one of the things. Not to dwell on that, but that's like a big piece of what happens in your training that is really critical for you in the success of your business. So that is one thing. Yes, you do need to be professionally trained. There is no criteria for you to be professionally trained. It's for your best interest, really, honestly. The other thing is, can you do this part-time and still be successful? I would say, because it's having a staging business is a big deal. There's a lot of responsibility in it. There's a lot of work in it, and we all love doing it. And to do it part-time, to do it on weekends, there's two things that don't really work with that model. And I've seen it promoted, and it's not fair to tell you that works, because I don't think it works anymore. And because when you think about working part-time and on weekends, we don't typically stage on weekends because, or at least that's kind of the model that we try to stick to, is that we don't stage on weekends for a number of reasons. One, it's so much more efficient for us to stage when the clients aren't home. So during the week, during week work hours, that's the best time for us to stage. The rental companies, if you're using them, which most of us do these days, they're not open on the weekends. So if you're trying to have deliveries done, you're paying extra. So that's not fair. So you're upping the cost for clients. And you have a business that you just worked 5 days this week, and now you're going to work 2 days on the weekend. So that's if you choose to work on weekends. So I don't think that it's the best model to try and do it part-time on a weekend. I think that you can start that way, and get your ducks in a row, start getting business, start doing consults part-time and things like that. But I don't think that you, in the long run, you want to look at a staging business as part-time, partly because you're going to love it and you're not going to want to do it part-time. You're going to want to do it full-time because it's a lot of fun. So that is the second thing. And the third thing is, do you need to make an investment if you have a staging business, and what kind of investment would that be? Now, some of the things I hear is like, no, you don't need to make an investment. Now, what I would like to say is, yeah, you do need to make an investment, because you are actually going to run a successful business. And like any business, you need to make some kind of investment into making sure that it runs. We often hear people talk about being able to put away a year's salary. Now, I don't know anyone who managed to do it. Hi, Trudy. I don't know anyone that managed to put away your salary because we were all too excited to get going in our business. But you definitely want to have like a bit of a buffer to help you along because it is new. But you also want to have that money to invest in your business because you have things that need to happen. You need to be able to have your website up and running. You need to be able to respond and do some marketing. You need to be able to do a vacant staging or have access to be able to do the rentals for vacant staging. If someone asks you, that's what you want to do when you start with your business. Whoops, my computer's doing something out there. So that's what you want to be able to do, and it's very difficult to do that without having some money put aside. Now, personally, I think that I suggest that you start with thinking about having about $3,000, $3,000 to $5,000 to get yourself up off the ground. You could absolutely, I mean, like really there's no ceiling. You could buy all your inventory, like $100,000 worth of inventory up front if you want to. Buy a truck. You can start like right from the get-go with everything that you need. You don't need to do that though. You can start small and you can grow. And one of the things that you need to just make sure is that as you're growing, I'm sure you've heard the word scaling. It's about making sure that you know how you want to grow and like what you're going to need. And that's part of the training, but it's also why being part of like the staging community is really valuable. So if you're not in one of those Facebook groups, I recommend that you join one of them because you will be in a community where there are several hundred to 1,000, I think we're almost at 1,000 in one of the groups, of stagers from all over the world who will be able to give you their thoughts and their opinions and perspectives as well. So that will also make a big difference. So that's kind of like about money. So you also want to think about like the investment that you're going to make in your training as well. And typically that's, you know, anywhere from sort of $1,200 to $2,500, depending on the training that you're looking at. If you take my program and if you want to benefit from the $500 off, it's $1,297. So right until Friday midnight. I may extend it to Sunday midnight, but at the moment it's Friday night midnight, and so $1,297 is a really very good deal for what you get out of any training program, really. Training programs. Now let me just see here. So do I need training? We talked about this. Do I need to buy inventory? Yes, you do. How much money do I need to start? I would say minimum have $3,000 sitting around on your credit card so that you can go and do. Oh, one thing I should tell you though, when you are starting your business, and it would only be fair to tell you this because this is how I started mine. I had a credit card, I think with $10,000 on it, and I think that was the last time I had $10,000 on my credit card, but it was good. It worked then. So I had $10,000 on my credit card, and I started slowly buying inventory. I always recommend that you buy inventory for a job. So you don't want to, like, there's some framework around some best practices about how to get started on purchasing inventory, like what are the basics that you need. There's definitely some best practices for that. But what you don't want to do is go out and buy a bunch of furniture and not ever had a job yet, or not really had enough jobs to know that what you're choosing is the right stuff, the stuff that you're going to use again, and also making sure that you actually have bought enough the inventory that you're going to actually be able to rent next month and the month after and the month after, because you want to make money on that inventory. So I recommend not purchasing a whole lot, just the basics as you get going. And I used to do, I would take I think it was 60% of the job the revenues that I made on the job. I would take 60% of that and I would put that towards buying inventory for that job. And by that point was starting to build up other inventory. So I could take a mix of brand new and some other pieces, but I would be buying specifically for that property as well, with that property in mind. One of the reasons I think that's a really good thing is because if we're all the same. We love to go and shop, like HomeSense and Home Goods, and now the big HomeSense in the U.S. like is massive. Those are like wonderful places to go, and none of us will say that we hate to go shopping, really. We might like hate it because it gets in the way of us doing work and it might be time consuming, but we all love to go and look at nice things. And what happens when you start purchasing before you've had any work is that you buy these cool things and they're great and you want to use them on your staging jobs, but when you get your first couple of jobs, you don't want to use that. You want to go buy something new. So so then you have more than you spent more than you actually really needed to. So that's why I recommend that you kind of wait and just sort of plan out your investment and know that you have the money there and the resources to go spend and invest when you can, for sure. Just as a measure, I'll just tell you, I have one student, she went through the program, she started in January. She was already doing vacant stagings come April. And she had been doing a fair bit of work, and I think now she's invested already about $40,000 in inventory, and she's still not managing to keep up with the amount of business she has. So that's a great thing, and it means that she feels a little bit under the gun, I think, but that's part of being in business at the beginning, that you're constantly trying to buy more inventory because you're busy. That's not a bad thing to be busy, and so it's just as a gauge. Not every stager will have that happen, but also too, I should say, Joanne, she started in a small town where she was new to the town and started her business that way. So it's in a rural area as well. So it definitely can work for you, for sure. Okay. What else? So we talked about how much money you need to start, about training, about buying inventory, and can you make a good living? Well, yes, you can. There are definitely seven-figure stagers out there, and you might not aspire necessarily to want to be a seven-figure stager and be able to bring in $1 million plus, because what happens when you can do seven figures is you also have the infrastructure that deals with that. That's all about growing. That's all about scaling up and getting bigger and more successful. It may be something that that you want to have happen, that you really aspire to, and absolutely there are some great examples of stagers out there who've done very well with that. They're busy and they've worked hard, and it didn't happen overnight. It does take time to do that, but we have some great trailblazers in the industry who have paved the way for that to happen, and they're leaders in the industry as well, and sometimes they're too busy to be leaders because they're too busy like doing all the work. So, but there's definitely something, there's a model that you can aspire to that will get you to seven figures, and there's also that model that will happily keep you netting in the end sort of six figures. So definitely those are things that that you learn in your training as well. And you'll start to continue to see in the industry stagers continue to grow and morph, and like how the businesses grow and how the expectations of the consumer has changed. So it's still a very exciting time to be in the industry. The staging really kind of started in the early 2000s. Like I think people were always wanted the best sale in their property. Agents always, hi Jane, agents always wanted to, they want their houses to look good. So they, did fluffing, and which most stagers kind of cringe at the idea of like what that means, because that's not what we do, and we're not busy fluffing. We don't just chop pillows, and we don't typically just use what the homeowner has. Where I can say from my experience, and all markets are different, but from my experience in the Toronto market, I don't think I've done one job since 2010 that required me just to use what the homeowner had. There was always something I could bring in as a rental. So now, not every area is going to be like that. Some areas you can still do occupied staging where you use just what the homeowner has, and that can be a really cool niche for a lot of stagers as well, depending on where you are. So there's a huge range of expectation, but most definitely since the early 2000s, when staging really was established and really sort of started to take root and became an industry, and this training started, then obviously then so did the expectation, because then we moved to HGTV, we had a lot more exposure, people's expectations grew, and so I can only imagine what they're going to do as we go forward. You know, there was a time when inspectors were not actually an expected thing to have in the sale of a process of a sale of a house. So to have stagers, that could be something, and it is starting to be something in a lot of areas where the consumer absolutely expects it, and realtors don't even think twice about having it. I'm in a Facebook group that has about 12,000 agents in it, more or less, and there was a question the other day about, you know, is it of value to stage a vacant property? And it was really interesting to see the number of people that agents who were like, hands down, yes, absolutely. And there was only a few that were sort of those holdouts that really weren't interested. And so that was really reassuring. So that means that agents, especially as they're coming on board now and our newer agents, absolutely believe in the value that it brings. So we're entering and continuing to be part of a market that, part of an industry that's got growth and potential, and who knows what else we'll be doing. Actually, a good point to say, to mention is that a lot of stagers, and probably many that are on here, would also do decorating. And that doesn't mean that they started out doing decorating, but their clients, they proved their value to their clients with the staging that they were doing and their love and passion for what they do and their talent. And so now they're in a position where they are actually being asked to come back and, would you decorate my new home? Or the other way that it works is if you're doing a staging job and you do your consultation and you give recommendations of like doing some big reno work, suddenly you're involved in managing reno work. Like I know Jane does quite a bit of that. So you're managing reno work, and you've suddenly become a decorator as well, and quite a well-respected one. And so that's really cool. So that's become something that we have taken on as a new part of the industry as well. And that seems to be much more commonplace than it used to be. It also means that, you know, that's how your business grows, and that's how you get over those six-figure numbers, and you grow your business to be really successful, and to be able to fund those dreams that you have of having, you know, 3 vacations a year with your kids and things like that. So lots of opportunity. It occurred to me as I was just talking that one of the reasons too, and I didn't mention this about like why you would want to be trained as a stager, is also because your competition is also trained. And there is more and more and more stagers who are trained. Very few stagers who I think are not trained so much anymore. And so when you are competing for jobs, if you compete for jobs, like if you have an opportunity, like if you find yourself competing for jobs, you're going to be up against people who've been trained, and so that makes it more difficult for you to be the one that's successful, gets a successful bid for a job as well. So that's something to keep in mind as well. That the expectation also becomes of the realtors as well, that you have some accreditation behind you, because they worked hard to get their designations and the training that they have, and so they're expecting that you're going to do the same for them as well. And when they bring you on board to work with them, because agents are usually our biggest client, our biggest our most fruitful resource for bringing us work, they are bringing you on board to do that work for them, and they are recommending you, so they actually see you often, at least the ones that we really like to work with, see us as part of their team, an extension of their team, an extension of their brand. And so that means that they are keen to have you make them look good, and you being trained and professionally and certified and having all that qualification and that experience behind you is what they would really love to see. So that would be that's an important distinction too, about like why training. It's not just because I think you should. It's because I want you to be competitive. I want you to be able to be really good at what you do, and to be really confident in what you do. When you can leave with training, and you can leave with that community of stagers behind you who've all got your back, that's what will help you to be successful growing forward as well. Now, what else have I got here? So we talked about training, we talked about buying inventory, talked about how much money to start, talked about living in smaller communities and where it's an opportunity for you. Oh yeah, we were talking about where can you make a good living. So absolutely you can make a good living. If you think about the average staging job as an example, where we bring furniture in at sort of $2,500 a job, and you want to have $100,000 in revenues in a year, then that's only 40 jobs. So that's not even one job a week if your average job was $2,500. And that's not uncommon at all for jobs to be. A staging job can range, I think most stagers start their jobs around, they have a sort of a baseline that they start around the 1,500 mark, round give or take, depending where they are and what they're offering. But usually it starts around 1,500 and it can go anywhere from there. Usually, you know, I would say vacants. Hi, Carrie. It's okay if you missed it because it'll be recorded and it'll be saved as well. So you'll get the information. And I started late too. Ugh, a whole long story, but anyway. And so, so definitely, you know, when you plan to do 40 jobs in a year, and let's say you're doing vacants, and your vacant jobs are anywhere from 3,000 to 4,000, those gross revenues you're going to be pulling in. You only have to do 25 jobs, you know, to really get yourself over the hump of 6 figures. So absolutely opportunity is there. I will say that it's hard work to get yourself there, because you're really like creating relationships with realtors, and you're really building your business like we would any business, but the opportunity is most definitely there, and the opportunity for success is really there. Now I know there are probably a few people on here who've had challenges with let me just see here. They've had challenges with lowballing and people coming and stagers wanting to like undercut and stuff like that. And I would say just my advice to that, because I know this came up again today as in feeds, was would just be to, those people are not going to survive. Like if you are not charging enough, if you're not doing enough and not delivering an expert service, just like any business, you're not going to survive. Because the only people that are going to want to hire you are the people who are hiring based on the fact that you're cheap. They're hiring based on price. And when you're good at what you do and you deliver a great service and you have nice inventory and you're really smart with your staging, and you have you're using a business model that really works for staging to have a successful business, then you're the ones that are going to survive. And regardless of whether or not you are charging a lot, like you have to, as a stager, make your profit. And so that's the most important thing when you think about pricing, is that you must make more than you spent on the job, and you must be able to pay yourself for the work that you've done and your skills, and that really is the bottom line. So stagers who, you know, who charge too low and who are just getting jobs based on price, they are going to unfortunately be going under. I'd like to think that those are stagers who've not been trained, who are not actually really a big part of the staging community, so they don't realize that that's a challenge, and that they could do better, really. I mean, I want to see you do well. Like, I get really excited. Like, I get super excited at my students who go through the program and who are doing consults by week 2, and who have agents waiting in the wings for them to finish, and they're, you know, busy. Like, I coached one student, and she's actually not one of my certification students, but she's another stager I coached, and you know, when she really like let her hair down and admitted it, she wanted to have a $300,000 business, and she planned on having that by year 3. So you can do whatever you want, you know, whatever your dreams are, you can do it. And so I'd like to think that with the Successful Stager certification program, any of our programs actually, that that we're there for you, and that when you take the program, they're all online, but there's so much opportunity for virtual interaction with our colleagues and our peers that it really doesn't feel like we're thousands of miles away at all. And I know that Juliana is in Florida, and she was one of my students earlier this year, and there's a real opportunity. Like, she talks to people in who are students in the group who are from Calgary, and I've got ones from California and from all over, and it doesn't, the cool thing is that it doesn't really matter where they're from, because staging is still based on the same principles. We still have the same challenges as business owners, and we still, all of us, have that same passion and excitement about being a stager. So that's pretty cool. So I like to think that that's you know, one of the things that sets us apart. It's also a 12 module program. So instead of doing, you know, because I used to teach a live program, instead of teaching or taking a 2-day program and then doing a live piece of it, like when you actually stage, jamming it into 2 days, all that content, we spread it out over 12 weeks. So every week you get modules with video, you get live interaction. I do a live streaming class, better than what I did here, I hope, but a live streaming class in an exclusive Facebook group that is just for students, just for successful stager students, and they're in the group, and so we have, like, there's a real camaraderie. There's mentors. You're all assigned a mentor that works with you through that 12-week period as well, and we usually start off with like a coaching call, so that you're like a one-on-one, so that you're in the right place. And sometimes we move it along a little bit, because sometimes that's the right place for you to have your coaching call, but I'm always available, and so are the mentors, and so are the other people in the team. So we get some really good relationships built, and we share a lot of expertise, and a lot of, like, instead of you having to find out things on your own and like dig, and there's often resources that someone's already done this, and they can help you find the answer. So so that's what we do as well. The I'm trying to think. So what we also do, like, it is over 12 weeks, and the reason it's over 12 weeks and we split up this way is because I really like to see that the students who are going through the program are really being able to build on the previous week's content. And especially when you get to week 5 and 6, where we start to get into the business side of the staging, what you get to do every week is start building your business. So as you're building your business and you're putting all that content and, like, you're making important decisions about your business. So for example, Joanne, one of the things that you'd want to think about is, like, so how am I going to plan for my inventory, and how am I going to decide who are the agents I'm going to target? And so that's all part of the planning process. So as you go through the 12 weeks, you're actually building your business. You can be doing it, you can be staging and billing for and getting paid for jobs, and pretty much paid for your class for sure by the time you finished, but your business is nicely and comfortably moving forward, and so you're not kind of like thrown out of the nest and there you go. You're part of the Facebook group forever, as long as you need it, and the mentors are always there, and I'm always there as well. But the good thing is that you get to build your business as you're going. And I have a student today who she's an interior design student, and she took the program, but she hasn't actually finished because she and got her certification yet, because she was finishing up her interior design program and moving to another city to start her business. So she contacted me today, and she wants to, like, fast track and get it all done. So we'll work with you to make sure that if you have, like, I know I had a student, and she's not a student actually yet, but somebody I talked to a couple weeks ago who said, I have a realtor waiting for me and he wants to work with me, and so can I get the training done faster? And so what I recommend is you can do the first 4 weeks and you can fast track those, and that's where you learn how to do a really good consultation, where you learn all about the decorating skills and how to apply them to a staging, how to do a great staging plan, how to pull inventory and plan for inventory that you're going to do. And then as you get into week 6 and 7, 6 is about getting your business started. 7 is about pricing and contracts and quotes, because we know you need it, and that's that burning question. So we know that you need that piece, and so as you're going, everything builds on, but you can definitely at week 3, which is when you learn of the consultation, you can go into a consultation, you can charge your full rate, and we talk all about that stuff. So it's not like you're not going out blind. You have support from us as you go. And so that's kind of in a nutshell how the program works. There's a couple of other bonuses that happen with it. One is that you do get certified. Now, I will tell you, in all fairness, that you don't have to be certified in this industry. There is no standard of certification, so that's not, you don't have to feel like, well, that you must be certified. The reason I certify is because so many people are asking me, so I upped the level of the content so that I really honestly feel like you earned it anyway. So even if you didn't, even if it wasn't like a standard certification, you earned a certification when you finished taking the 12-week program. And so that's one thing. There was something else I was going to tell you. And I can't remember what it was. It just went straight out of my head. But it's going to come to me in a minute. One thing that you do get as a bonus with the program is I have also something called the Just for Stager Members Lounge, and the Members Lounge is all the extra bits. Like I have taken some pieces out of the program and taken them into smaller nuggets and some of the tools and done that in the lounge. But it's also all those extra pieces like using social media and how to like set up a Facebook business page and how to do something like this and things like that. So lots of different little nuggets, and you get 3 months of free access to that when you fit. Well, you get access from the beginning, but then you get an extra 3 months at the end as well. So that's part of the program as well. What else is there? Lots of different stuff. We have expert speakers come on. Oh, I know one thing. One thing that we don't do is we don't expect you to renew a membership. So if you've read any of other training programs and you're doing your research and you found that they want you to actually pay and invest in renewing a membership, we don't do that. I really believe that you earned your designation. Once you finish the program, then it's yours for life, and I don't expect you to renew and to pay more just to use the logo. Like, that's just not, I don't think that's very cool, and I don't think that it's fair, and I'd feel like guilty as all get out to take your money for using a logo. You know, like it's just not, I just don't think that's cool. So we don't do that. And I will say, like, if you have any questions about, you know, whether or not online versus doing live, I totally agree, Trudy. It makes me look because they charge. I have no idea why they do, but anyway. What was I going to say? What was I saying? I forgot what I was saying. It was not about the program. So you get a designation. So your designation is TCSS, the Certified Successful Stager. So you do get that designation. You get a certificate. I don't test you. What we do is we started out with you know, having the students complete. Thank you, Jane. That we complete the like a business plan. That is still part of the entire project, the entire training. Every module, you get a couple of more pages that you complete that will help you to go forward. And like the business plan is like a roadmap. It's like really to help you to be successful. It's to help you sort of be able to plan forward and know exactly what you need to do in order to get where you want to be. And so that's something that we work on through the program, through the 12 weeks. What we do instead of doing a test is I have, and this is something that we're implementing right now because I found the business plan was a little bit like a bit unwieldy for people to try and finish when they were doing the 12 weeks. Even though they get it done, it's kind of hard for people to try to do that while they're also out there looking for work as well. So what we do now is we have, because you're going to learn how to create a staging plan, and the kind of inventory that you would choose, and the kind of house that it would be in, and the focal points and all those things. You then are just really, you're not tested on it, but you have to put together a really good plan based on a couple of photos. And that plan is what we would look at. And as far as I'm concerned, no one fails. It's all about making you better. And if you're struggling, which you shouldn't be, but I hope you wouldn't be, but if you are struggling, then our goal is to make you, to give you all the help you need to actually be successful. Because our goal is, well, my goal with doing this in the first place was to make sure that stagers get everything that they need to be successful with their business in the staging industry. Because when I stopped training, and before, I had no plans to do a program like this, but I kept having stagers come to me with questions and concerns, like big concerns, and things that they should have learned in their training program. So I just thought, well, I've done so much of this, I'll just put this all together. So that kind of worked out in my favor, but it wasn't my big plan to start with, but I really want to see stagers be successful. And I think that oh, I know what I was going to tell you. One of the things that helps you is the community, is the fact that the content is always growing and changing to reflect what's happening in the industry, and that's the value of being able to do an online program, that we can make those changes instantly. So that's a big deal. So when you're paying your fees for and looking at what the costs are for programs, when you're looking at a live program face-to-face, your dollars are paying for bricks and mortar, they're paying for printing of books, they're paying for a trainer. When you pay for an online program, and I'll say specifically mine because I can talk to that, is you're paying for the content, and you're paying for there to be expert content and virtual tools and things like that. So one of the things that you'll also get, and I always forget this because it's kind of my background, I have a graphic design and communications background, so it's very easy for me to do, but one of the things that you also get is complete access to every tool, every resource that I use in my own business or that I have taught for students. You get all that. So anything that I have. So the pricing formula that we use, the perfect pricing formula, you get the templates to figure that out. You get the staging report to do a consultation. You pay for it once. Actually, no, you don't pay for it. In the program, you don't pay for it. That comes free. It's yours. It's a PDF. You go print it. Intake form, the same thing. You get the PDFs and you get to download them and use them as you see fit. So anyway, I think that's kind of it in a nutshell. I need a drink after that. But it's a lot of fun. I really have thoroughly enjoyed the program. I think that it captures everything. If there's any fault to it, it's that I give you too much. I have to say, because I usually can't stop talking, and Juliana will tell you that. My videos are far too often long because I can't stop talking. Just kind of like this right now. I like sitting here doing the live stream. I'm just talk too much. So, and partly because I hate leaving things kind of undone. I always get off them and I think, oh, I meant to tell them that. I forgot to tell them this. So anyway, just my nature, I guess. But anyway, so oh, thanks. So if there's any questions, so one of the things, and I'm really sorry that this started, I don't know why every time I try to do this, there's some weird thing, and I'm very organized. I was very organized tonight I had it all ready, and then I went and made beef pork tenderloin, and, I had rosemary in my hands for at 10 to 7, but and I thought, I've got it all set up, it's perfect, and then it wouldn't go on. So anyway, so I apologize for going on late. But one of the things just to remind you is, now I'm going to, I'm not sure if it's posted. It's posted, I think, in the Facebook group, on my business page, but I will make sure that it gets in here as well. There is a link to the information page, like the website page, of all the details that are in everything that's covered in the program, and all the FAQs and everything else in it as well. The $500 off is a bonus, because I really would love it if you were to take the 12 weeks and be finished going into January and able to start your own business. So that's an incentive to get you started and to get you into the program. It's regularly it's usually $19.97, and then I usually offer like $100 off, so then I took another $500 off, so it's $12.97 for the program. what else I was going to tell you? So that is, and I'll send you an email. Actually, if everybody that's on here is like listed here, I'll make sure that I send you an email with the link, but you'll also find it in this Facebook, in this live stream. And there's also a link. If you don't have my 15 things to jumpstart your staging business, there's a link for that too. You can jump in and get that. And what else? I think that's basically it. But I'd love it if you were to, I'd love to have you on board. Joanne, and I think there are a couple of other people for sure that are new to me that I've not seen your names before. So I know the other thing. I'd love to have you on board, but I also would love to be able to help you start your journey into being a stager. So there is at the top, when I go back and fix it, there is a link to be able to book a call with me. And it's no obligation or anything. It's just, I would love to be able to help you, point you in the right direction of how to start. And so that you feel really confident that this is a career in an industry that you really want to be part of. And that, and so we can sit and chat for sort of 20 minutes or so, and I can help you with that for sure. So you can just click on that. As I said, there's no obligation after that, just to even chat. So it's important to me that you get to make informed decisions about your future and about taking the leap into the staging industry, and that you're really educated about what that means and what that's going to do for you. All right. So I don't think I have any more questions. Oh, thanks, Jane. You know what? I think it's this is kind of, I'm going to say, a labor of love for me now that once I started training, because I have to admit that I love it more than staging. I could not see myself like not doing this anymore. I still do consults, and I will occasionally do some staging, but I don't have any inventory anymore, so I rely and farm out work to others. But I do the consults because I really enjoy them. But I really love the training, and I love seeing people get excited. And I coached 2 people last week that have a business together. One of them I actually trained in my other life, and so it was really exciting because they were talking about growth, and they were kind of stumped about what that could mean and what they should do. And watching them have aha moments of like, oh my God, I don't have to work that hard. I could do this in less time. I could make more money. Like, that was really exciting to me. So, that's kind of like how I go forward with the program as well. So, and I love to meet everybody as well. So there's just some great people in this industry. I don't know about you guys. One of the funny things about being in the staging industry is that because many of us, this is a second career or even a third career, many of us have a whole different life, before we got to this. My background is graphic design and communications. I did graphic design at 18 in college. Never on the computer, really, to be terribly honest. Like, that was not the beginning for me. I did forms design, which makes me really good at doing some of the worksheets and stuff for the programs. Then I worked in communications, and I worked in nonprofit, and I worked in government for many years, and in health charities, like in national health charities, and in their national offices. And so I loved doing that. So this was like I did not see this coming. And when I had this aha moment that I wanted to train more, it was a funny thing. And I'm sure you guys all have gone through this similar sort of thing where I was like, I never even thought of that. Like, I always think of my brother, who was a trained chef, and it never occurred to him that he could actually make a living and be paid doing something he loved, that he'd been doing since he was 15. And I remember that, like, he struggled for, what he was going to do with his career. And then suddenly it was like, I could do something I love, which is really wonderful to see people do. So anyway, so thanks very much, guys. I will follow up. I will put those links in the comments here. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Even if any of you guys that I know, you ever wanted to do a quick call, use that link, and we can talk for 20 minutes and see what the next part of your career or your business is going to bring you. And if you ever need any help with that. Hi, Jassy. I'm just going to sign off, but this is going to be recorded, and so you will be able to see it as well. All right. So thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate your attention tonight, and I hope that some of you I'm going to see in the program, and that we will, and that you will really be, really excited about your new foray into staging. It's a wonderful career. Jassy is somebody actually who I also has been in my workshops before over time. So lots of fun stuff. All right, so have a great evening, guys. And as I said, please PM me with any questions, post them in here, or if you want to spend more one-on-one time, just hit the button in the Calendly button and book a time with me, and I'm happy to spend 20 minutes, half an hour on the phone talking about the industry and what's next for you. All right, take care, guys. Bye-bye. Well, thanks, Jassy.